Alright, well hello everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Alexis Clemons. I am a junior studying meteorology here at Mizzou, which is, I think those are about half of the department right there. So there we go. We're a small but mighty bunch here. So I am actually also the weekend morning weathercaster on KOMU 8 News, the NBC affiliate and here in Columbia. And I love my job so much. I get to talk about the weather all the time. I do get to wake up at 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning on my weekends, but you know, it could be worse. I'm also the president of our meteorology club at school. Yeah, we do actually have one of those. I'm a TA for intro to meteorology, and I'm taking 9 meteorology credits this semester. So my brain is basically all weather all the time. But this is my first year on the E3 team. This is my first ever E3 talk, so I'm super excited to get this underway. I get to talk in front of thousands, well, probably hundreds of people on KOMU because, let's be honest, who's up that early on a Saturday morning, except for me. I get paid for it though, so that's why I'm up. I talk in front of all those people about the weather every weekend, but this is totally different in such an awesome way. I'm so excited to do this. So a few fun facts about myself. I have a slide. Yeah, that's me. I love my family so much. I was born and raised in the beautiful St. Louis, Missouri. If you're from the area or know the area, I'm from South County, a little area called Afton. I loved growing up there. I was only 10 minutes away from downtown, so going to a Blues game or a Cardinals game was nothing, but I was far enough away from the hustle and bustle of the city to, nice sitting comfortably in the suburbs. So I went to a small public high school. It's called Bayless. My graduating class was 113 students. That's why if you're from St. Louis and you do the where'd you go to high school game, nobody ever knows mine. So, but we were there. We were there. It was very small for a public high school in St. Louis, but I really enjoyed going there. I had such a different experience from a lot of people I've talked to that have gone to larger places. For example, I was in charge of our National Honor Society at school. I was captain of basketball and softball teams that were not very good. And I was involved in my school's theater companies. You can see I was Donkey in Shrek the Musical. I really hope I didn't peak in high school. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I was incredibly involved, and it was seriously so hard to think about anything other than school and extracurriculars and all that stuff. But through that entire time, I was Catholic. I'm a cradle Catholic, as people call it, where your parents baptize you when you're a couple months old, and then they sent me through religion school. I didn't go to Catholic school, but I went to religion school every Monday night, PSR, if anybody knows what that is, 6:30 to 8 p.m. on Monday nights, where it was kindergarten through 8th grade, where I received the sacraments of reconciliation, communion, and confirmation. But with my experience as a cradle Catholic, I'm sure many of you, if you're in the same way, have had similar experiences. It was my parents' duty to baptize me into the church, since they were married into the Catholic Church, and they made that promise to God if they were to raise up children, they would be Catholic. So I was only 7, and I received reconciliation and Holy Communion for the first time. I was 12, and I was confirmed in my faith. I'll be honest, I had a say in none of that. Just kind of went along with it because my parents dropped me off every Monday night at PSR, and the same with Sunday Mass. My mom took my brother and I, we went there, sat for an hour, and then we left. And that was it. And as I got older, I started asking the why questions, like Bodie was talking about in his talk last week. Like, why do we believe in God? Why Catholicism over everything else? Why do we go to church every Sunday? I really was like a toddler who was replying with everything that everyone said with why. But my parents never really had the answers. They weren't really too involved in the faith. Neither did the kids I went to PSR with, because they were in the same predicament I was. They were kind of forced to go. And I went to a public high school where we never talked about religion ever. I think I was too scared to talk to my priest or my religion teacher about this, because I kind of assumed that these questions had very long answers, and I was just a busy little bee. I didn't have time for that. So I kind of just put those in the back burner of my mind and just kind of forgot about them until I came to college. So in this talk, I'm going to try to touch on things that are different in college than from anywhere else, and how your faith can help you through it. I'm going to try to talk also about how college and Newman in particular can help you grow in your faith. Because when I got to Mizzou, my definition of being a Catholic was completely changed. My first week of being here at Mizzou, I went to Newman's Fiesta Night during their Welcome Back activities. I was overwhelmed with all of the people that loved Christ so deeply. And that was truly a culture shock for me. I had never been around so many people who were at church because they actually wanted to be. People who wanted to grow deeper in their faith and learn more about God. People who are truly living Catholicism in their everyday lives. College is weird. This is something I'm going to keep coming back to because it's so true and there's really no better way to describe it. You're on your own, but you still kind of rely on your parents, but you have freedom, but all these responsibilities, it's just an odd time. It's also a time that you might feel emotions that you've never felt before. So I'm going to share my story a little bit. Coming into college, I pretty much knew no one. And all I did was text and call my boyfriend, who was 127 miles away from me. I was detached from society, detached from myself, and detached from God. And I thought the only thing that would make me happy was that boy that was 127 miles away from me. And you can guess where the story's going. We did break up, but almost after 3.5 years of dating. And I was lost, I'm not gonna lie. I truly felt as if I had no one. I put my entire being into that relationship and nothing else my freshman year. I never really made genuine friendships my freshman year. And I felt a loneliness that I really hope no one ever feels. And after last summer, I moved back to campus for my sophomore year, where I was 127 miles away from my friends and my family who knew me and knew what I was going through. But there was someone else who knew me and what I was going through, and who was always near me. And that was God. I went to Mass every Sunday my freshman year, but I didn't start being involved in the church and really trying to grow deeper until I went to E3 my sophomore year. And in September of last year, which is where we're jumping into the story, I was really depressed. I felt like the only way that would make me feel better was to basically deny everything, pretend it didn't happen, and move on, acting like you're okay, which never really works. My anxiety was through the roof, and I felt like a burden to everyone. But I was convinced to go to E3 one night. And it was our speakers during the Focus series, I think it was McKenna who was speaking, and she told us to close our eyes and ask God for one thing that we really wanted, but to feel the Spirit enter you as you spoke with Him. So I remember sitting there so lost. I didn't know what I was doing in here. And I decided, I was like, look, God, I need some guidance. I need some help. I need some relief from these emotions that I've been feeling. And I really didn't know what to say, but that's what I said. And I remember in this hot room full of all these people, I felt a shiver go through my entire body as I felt the Holy Spirit enter me. And that was probably one of the most amazing experiences that I've ever felt. Where did they go? No, okay, so yeah, that was really one of the most amazing experiences I've ever felt. I'm a very big believer in signs, and God sent me that sign at the time when I really needed it. And that was actually the night that I signed up for Awakenings for the first time. And that's a great experience. We will talk more about that when it gets closer. By the way, freshmen, I want to sign up for that overnight retreat, but we'll talk about that after this. But everybody that knows me, that knew me when I was about to go on Awakenings, knew that I was so against going. I did not want to go. When I was in 8th grade, when we were getting our confirmation, we had to go on this retreat, and I hated every minute of it. Nobody participated in anything, and if you weren't best friends with someone, then you were just forgotten about. I hated it, didn't ever want to go on a retreat again. But my fellow meteorology major, Sammy, decided, kind of forced me to go, but I'm so glad I did. It blew away any expectations I had very, very far away. So college is also difficult due to all the temptations around you. Maybe you experienced this in high school as well, or a part of college, but in college when you don't have anyone to stop you, it can be easier to succumb to these temptations. We live in a society where underage drinking, premarital sex, and caring for no one but yourself is praised. It's all over social media and our world. It's hard to ignore it since it makes you cool and you're not living if you don't try to break the rules and be wild and crazy. And I'll be honest, that was me in high school and the beginning of college. I thought I wasn't making the right memories in college if I wasn't being a little daredevil and trying to break the rules and stepping out of my comfort zone. But I've only been in college for 2 years and involved at Newman for 1. Some of my best memories were made in this area with these people in these rooms. And it's really hard to avoid those temptations, but it's much easier when you have people who will help you. So a Bible verse that I read, I need some empowerment, I just Googled this. Google's awesome, dudes. But you can just find some awesome things. But I found this, it's Proverbs chapter 13, verses 20 through 21. I just thought this was just so cool. It says, "He that walks with wise men shall be wise. The companion of fools shall be destroyed. Evil pursues sinners, but to the righteous good shall be repaid." I really thought that was so powerful and so incredibly true for our generation and the way we're living our lives. So I saw that American author and motivational speaker, his name is Jim Rohn, claims that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So I want you all to think about those 5 people in your lives. Are those the people that you want to embody? Because if you surround yourself with people who lead you towards God, you will not be disappointed. Be with people you want to run towards heaven with. At Mass on Sunday, this past Sunday, the theme was to spread the good news of God. If you're not comfortable doing that by yourself, which can be kind of nerve-wracking by yourself, join us as we preach the word of the Lord. Another thing college is it scary? Classes are tough, workloads are large, people are everywhere, stress is constant, and the future is unknown. Like for me, I have 2 years left here, and I have no idea what I'm going to do after I graduate. Ideally, I have a plan. In 2 years I'll be working towards my master's at St. Louis University, maybe interning at KSDK, which I grew up watching, the little other girl there. But that's my dream. That depends on a lot of things. Depends on if I get accepted into grad school, any job offers I might get, my financial situation, and any other circumstances that arise. The point of all of this is that we have plans. I'm sure you all have plans for this upcoming Labor Day weekend, or for when you need to start that essay that you've already been procrastinating, even though it's week number 2. But your plans hardly ever go according to your plan. But that's where God comes in. He has plans for you that you don't even know about. And this is my favorite ever Bible verse that's helped me through so many things. It's Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 11. I actually have it right here on my journal. Let's read out this. "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." Whenever I'm unsure and doubtful of the future, which happens a lot since I am a stone-cold planner, I repeat this verse inside my head. And when I was in that state of depression and anxiety, this verse showed me that it will get better. God has a plan for all of us, for me, that will not harm me. He will give me hope, which I desperately needed at that time. And God won't put you through more than He thinks that you can handle. He thinks that He can help you through. And that just showed me that He thought I was strong enough to go to Him and to get out of this dark pit, that state of mind. When you've been through a dark time, you are able to better appreciate the lighter times in your life. If I need some guidance in my life, though, I'll also maybe pray the rosary. When I need some girl power from Mary. I'll journal. This is my journal. Go to adoration and such. Sometimes I find it hard to pay attention when I am trying to pray to God, because I have the attention span of a squirrel. But I will sometimes write down prayers that I want to pray to God. That kind of gets my focus the way it needs to go and helps me with that. But just if you put in the effort to talk with God and follow Him in life, He will not disappoint you in the future. Just like with the verse in Proverbs, God rewards those who are righteous. If you're not new to college, you may have had a similar experience as I did, as you have grown in your faith and grown closer to God through your experiences here at Newman or elsewhere. But God always calls us to go deeper. Faith is not static. It should always continue to grow. Somebody gave me this verse. It's James chapter 2, verse 26, which says, "Just as the body is dead without breath, also faith is dead without good works." So we're not just saved by faith alone. We're saved through our works and how we're living them. You can't just say that you believe in God and then you're saved. That's not how salvation works. That's how I thought it worked, back when I was in high school, thinking, oh yeah, I go to Mass every Sunday. That's it. I'm good. I'm going to heaven. It's not entirely how it works. We're always called to go deeper through God. But if you're new to college, I'm really trying not to scare you with all this crazy stuff with college, even though it kind of sounds like it. College is absolutely amazing. It's just full of new experiences that can be overwhelming at times. And the reason I'm telling you my experiences with my faith in college is so that maybe you'll relate to it, but hopefully you'll definitely learn something from it. But what I've learned, and I'm sure most of you have learned too, or will learn in the future, you are never alone because you have God. But as humans, we crave physicality, meaning that we rely on the presence of other humans. So when you need a physical person to help you with your faith and let you grow, or let you know that you're not alone, just come to Newman. All of these amazing people are here to help you grow in your faith and be your friend. If you were at the student mass this past Sunday at 8 p.m., you might have heard Father Rich's homily, and he really did an amazing job about explaining how living your faith in college is different. But you always have a place here at Newman. He said that when you come to Newman, you have a home here at Newman. We will follow you wherever you go. When it comes to your faith, you don't ever have to go through it alone anymore. From where I was 2 years ago to where I am now, it is crazy to see how much I've grown. I've learned more about Catholicism. I've made friends that hold me accountable when it comes to prayer, Mass, confession, and living through Christ in my everyday life. If you're not new to college, you may have a regimen that you follow to live by your faith. For me, it's all about time management. I live through my planner. But just as I set aside time to study and to go out with my friends, I set aside time to be with God. We're all super busy with classes and extracurriculars and trying to have a life, which is very hard to do. But we have to set aside time for God. I'm sure you all put E3 on your calendars for tonight, and you put a Mass time on Sunday, every Sunday. But you can add time, maybe even just starting with 15 minutes a day, just to sit down with God. Putting your phone on Do Not Disturb mode helps me a lot with getting rid of that distraction. And also, like I said, I always kind of try to at least start my thoughts with prayer in my journal to kind of get me going and get me focused. With just 15 minutes with God, no distractions from anything else. A few people I've also talked to sit with God and do what's called a daily examine, where you just sit with God for a little bit. Just talk about your day. Good things that happened, the bad things that happened. You thank Him for another day here on earth, and you ask Him for whatever you're needing help with. So I was trying to look for Bible verses that kind of summed up my experience with my faith at college, and Newman in particular, and again, Google, it's amazing. But what I found was Colossians chapter 2, verses 6 through 7. That says, "So then, just as you received Christ Jesus as Lord, continue to live your lives in Him, rooted and built up in Him, strengthened in the faith as you were taught, and overflowing with thankfulness." I thought that was cool. So I'm not sure what it was like to go to Catholic high school or grade school. Maybe you were able to make a lot of friends in your faith. Maybe you were really involved in the church back home, and that kind of shaped your faith life. Or maybe you're internally or physically nodding along to what I'm saying because you had a similar experience. One of the most amazing things that I have gained from college already is a much deeper love, appreciation, and knowledge for Christ. And if I walk away from college with nothing more, I have received the education of a lifetime. To sum up what I'm trying to say is that you found a home here at Newman. You don't have to walk alone anymore when it comes to your faith. Life gets tough. It's inevitable, unfortunately. But especially in college, when you're feeling all these new and crazy emotions. But when the going gets bad, come to Newman, ask questions, make friends, and pray. like I said, I'm a junior now. I'm just starting my junior year. And I didn't start truly being involved in my faith until less than a year ago. And I mean, look where I am now. Change is possible. And it can happen really quickly. And my outlook on life has changed so much, and all for the better. I look back to where I was this time, even just last year, just so negative and desperately trying to act like everything was okay. But instead, I found a community to lean on. I have a slide up here. So this is my community at Newman. And I love everyone on the screen. They push me every day to be a better version of myself, and to grow closer to God and have a strong relationship with Him. All of these are some of my best memories at college. So there's a quote that I was given by someone. It's by German pastor Dietrich Bonhoeffer, I think I'm saying that right, that says, "He who loves community destroys community. He who loves the brethren builds community." The people here are trying to build a community. We build each other up, and we all truly love each other through Christ. So get involved here if you're not. Join a Bible study, which, by the way, I guess I'm just an advertisement here also. If you didn't go to the Bible study launch party last night, you have a chance to tomorrow right here in this room at 8 p.m. But just, I'm saying, put yourself out there, because all of us, and especially God, will be here for you.